Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Online Warriors podcast. My name is Nerdbomber.
And I'm Techtic.
And we are back with a full show. We are still getting over our little colds, but Techtic's a little bit healthier than I am right now.
I'm pretty close to 100%. My nose is a little stuffed, but I'm pretty good. And I got to give you credit because for the person that shows up with some new ailment here, you showed up and showed out last week. So props to you.
To be fair to you, I did a very quick run through, but yeah, I feel like I definitely have taken a turn for the worse while you got better. But we are here.
Yeah, I probably gave it to you.
We persist, and I have cough drops, so apologies if I sound like I have rocks in my mouth because I kind of do. But we have a really big episode, and I didn't want to miss this one because we are talking about the PlayStation State of Play that happened over this past week. There was a ton of new games revealed here, or at least new footage of games that we've been introduced to already. We saw new footage from Saros. We saw an extended trailer for the new Wolverine game, amongst many other things. We're basically going to go through game by game and walk through the entire showcase. I'm actually super excited about this. Techtic, are you ready for this?
I am so ready.
All right. So let's get into it, and we'll kind of go in the order of the showcase. They kicked everything off with an extended look at gameplay for Saros. This is the new game from Housemarque, the studio behind Returnal, and it is going to be another, roguelike third-person sort of combat shooter set on a sci-fi looking planet.
That shapeshifts.
That is very important, so that every run, when you come back, you will get stronger, but the planet will also change. Now, they announced officially the release date for this game is going to be March 20th of 2026, so it's coming out next year, not too long from now. And before we really get into breaking down what we saw here, I do want to say the aesthetic of this game looks super cool, but it was giving me such hard Doom vibes.
Yeah, it definitely gave a hellish landscape that you're trying to, again, speed run your way through.
And even down to the enemy character design, a lot of it, I got the sense of this was heavily inspired by Doom. Like you said, everything looks super fast. There were dash movements that the main character can perform. There were some cool features, though, some combat mechanics like a shield. And normally I don't love a shield moment because I feel like then you're just spamming the shield button and trying to time things right. But what was super interesting about this was that your shield could actually absorb energy from things that hit you and then charge up a weapon so that, you're constantly getting ammo from your shield charge, which I thought was a really, it's not a new mechanic. I've seen it in other games for sure. But I think it does get rid of that element of I'm running out of ammo. No, there's a lot of stuff perpetually coming at you in this game, or at least what they showed in this trailer. So I feel like it takes away some of that stress about, having ammo and stuff like that.
And what's nice about the shield, too, is you can build it up to kind of hit back even more powerful attacks. So it has a bit of an energy absorption point to it. And then there was just a bunch of other upgrades that we're seeing that as you have the permanent progression system active in this roguelite, you can get second chances and things like that, where they're shining the light on, hey, this isn't going to be just a grind that you're going to be stuck on this area forever. There's going to be constant progression. There's going to be crazy upgrades that'll help you move forward. And I'm here for all that. Show me all of the things that are going to help me be successful right up front.
Yeah, I think my biggest fear is that, especially knowing Illegal played Returnal, and from people I know who have played Returnal, I have not played that game yet. I have heard that it is super punishing.
You look weak in Returnal. Every time I watch it, you look like you're just way out of your element, and this looked like you had a fighting chance, which made it seem less intimidating.
It did. It seemed a little bit more approachable, but I do worry, especially as you get further on, and it does look like there were moments when the screen was just covered in projectiles, and again, I know you have the shield to absorb some of that, but at a certain point, your shield's going to run out, and I do wonder how punishing this game is going to be, and if it is going to be more approachable for players like me who don't love grinding for hours and hours and hours and not making progress. So this is really this is at the top of my list. I am actually very intrigued by this. If you told me that, I would have been. I know when they first announced it, I liked the vibe of it and everything, but I was oh, well, Returnal was, I think, not something I would be interested in. So I kind of wrote it off. But now I'm thinking this is kind of back on my radar. And this feels like something where I would really benefit from having a demo, to give it a try.
Yeah.
before I spend like $60, I would want to give it a demo.
I do struggle with how you successfully demo a roguelite, because even games that we were just absolutely in love with, like Hades, I felt like I sucked at that game the first couple of runs. So how do you demo a roguelite where you're going to inherently be weak right off the bat?
I think the demo has to drop you in the middle of a run where your character already has, upgrades and some progressive, upgrades, I suppose. And I think it explains to you like, hey, so you're dropping in the middle of this run with this build, and then you're not going to get creamed right away, but you can get a sense for the combat.
Then they might feel bamboozled when they then buy the game and then get pissed off at it. I think I agree with you that a demo would be cool to play, but I think it's all or nothing. I think you either throw yourself in and chance it, or you just avoid the game.
That's fair. Now, speaking of another game that I might avoid, and I'm probably going to get flack for this, but the next game that they showed off was Zero Parades for Dead Spies. And this was made by the studio that created Disco Elysium. And I'm very curious because I know there's a lot of, drama and like there was some lawsuit stuff going on with the studio behind Disco Elysium. I'm not totally clued into how that shook out or what happened there, but this essentially looks like Disco Elysium continued. The aesthetic was pretty much the same. The, dialogue boxes were the same, and it's still got that like not quite isometric, but like top-down view of your character. I don't know that I would enjoy this. I did try Disco Elysium. Techtic, we do have that game if you're ever interested. It is very much a role-playing game to its core. Like, it is not there. Like, when we're talking role-playing, it's more like a tabletop game that has been video gamified. There's dice rolling. You're basically reading a bunch and making text-based decisions. You move your character around the map, but ultimately it comes down to odds and text-based decisions and dice rolls. And it was just a little too heady, and honestly, a lot of the dialogue was just a little bit too out there for me. I know Ben, one of our, Patreon subscribers, we had chatted about, playing Disco Elysium. I think we tried to do like a game club type thing off that game, and it's just really heady and difficult to get into. So if you love Disco Elysium, you're probably super hyped for this. I'm not.
I struggled with this one because the vibe that I got is it doesn't know what it wants to be. And what I mean by that is the main character, in some instances, they were like, I'm a badass spy that follows no rules. And then it would flash to the next scene and they're wrist deep in like a boar's behind. And so I didn't know if this was trying to be like a cheeky game, if it was trying to be like noir type game. I didn't know. And I just, when I struggle to get like a sense of what the vibe is, it's hard for me to be interested.
So that is basically exactly how Disco Elysium played, in that part of it is you have your character and you get to build their characteristics and their dialogue and like what sort of character they are. And you pick character traits, much like in a tabletop role-playing game. So you get to tailor your choices based on the character you want to create. But it also, there's just a lot of like weird, bizarre shit. And with the boar, like, it seems like they're continuing that trend. There's just a lot of like weird, bizarre shit thrown in. And some people, like, they probably love it. That it didn't work for me, and it doesn't sound like it would work for you.
It's not going to work for me.
But yeah, so new game from the creators of Disco Elysium coming out in 2026. No concrete date yet, but yeah, check it out if you liked that game. If you want to tell me how wrong I am that I did not like Disco Elysium, which was like, I want to say broadly like celebrated as the game of the year that came out and one of the best games ever, feel free to yell at me because I did not find it so.
I just need appropriate narration, so you can yell at me. I'm not going to listen to you. The next one that was announced was Microsoft Flight Simulator is now coming to PS5 December 8th, 2025. This is Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, and this is a big who cares.
I mean, so I think the big news here is it's just another Microsoft title that is leaving Xbox exclusivity behind and coming to PlayStation.
In my opinion, with these games, specifically the flight sims, these are meant to be PC only type things. This is where they really shine. I think it's cool if you like planes and don't want like a high bar to entry. Sure, play this on your PS5, play this on your Xbox, but like if you're into this, you should be playing it on PC because that's where I played this on my own PC back in the day, and it when you can have the option to go to like truly a flight setup, it's just game changing. And so I don't know why they're bothering with this.
Well, again, I think it just opens up the market to new folks who might want to give it a try. But also, they did flash at the end that it would be coming to PlayStation VR 2. And I think that is a different experience. Like Xbox, from a console standpoint, does not have VR. You can obviously, if you're playing on PC, like, yeah, you have VR options. But if you're a solely console player, your only VR option really is PlayStation. So if you have a PSVR 2, which I don't know how many of you are out there and exist, but like, I think it would be cool implemented in VR.
Yeah, no, that's a fair counterpoint, but
so
still going to be a no for me.
That's coming to PS5 December 8th. And then we got a look at the trailer for Battlefield 6.
This is on my list.
So this game is coming out October 10th. So again, not too long from now. And this looks like a really immersive cinematic war game. Techtic, you said this is on your list. I'm going to let you take it away. I always find these type of games kind of look like, they look cool, but like this and Call of Duty campaigns, like until I play them, they kind of just look like generic. But
I always thought that Battlefield, the franchise, really, really shined in their single player campaigns. And I've said this about Call of Duty as well, but like, I mean, there was like drama. They're going after the CIA. The action sequences look good. I'm here for this. It plays a little bit different than Call of Duty, but it's still like the Battlefield that we know and love. And like, there's going to be planning out and sniper shots. And this just looked so good. They did the cinematic trailer for this, 10 out of 10. I'm on board for this one.
Now, are you on board for the next game that was introduced, which is Deus Ex Remastered?
No,
not at all.
So I played through the Deus Ex, various games through, I believe I've even played it up to Xbox 360 is when I finally said I'm done. It is brutally slow / challenging. And what I mean by that is when the game starts you off, and this is the vibe I got for a lot of these games. When the game starts you off, it feels like almost overwhelming with all of the things you need to already know how to do. And you're kind of struggling. And then when you can get like the stealth down and know how to navigate, you still feel behind somehow. And it just feels very punishing. And I'm probably not saying this right, but it's just, I had really, really struggled to like hit my stride in these games. And because of that, I just feel like I'm burnt out from this franchise.
See, I always thought that the Deus Ex games were not quite like Mass Effect in the sense that, Mass Effect is obviously a giant space opera and the combat's very different. But I thought like from an RPG standpoint and like decision making standpoint, I thought this was like one of the, big like, hey, every decision matters type games, which is something that I have always historically loved in a game, like being able to choose dialogue options and make decisions that make my game different from yours. I've still never played any of these games. I have a couple of them. I've just never played them. So I just don't know, and the Triangle Club might come at me. They overhauled the visuals, they overhauled the controls to make the game work with DualSense support. I just don't know, with all of the new games that I have out right now that are on my backlog, yet nothing is really like calling to me. And I know visuals are not everything, but I just feel like the decision-making RPG genre has evolved so much since this original game came out that I don't know if a remaster that looks like marginally better than it did when it first came out is enough to draw me in and make me choose this over other games.
The thing that should make you move on is that they didn't upgrade it enough where like the explosion of an enemy didn't look like it was literally a flash and then change into an animation sequence.
And I mean, the remasters are hard in that sense because, like, where do you draw the line? You want the game to look a little bit better and run better, but, like, where do you draw the line in terms of preserving the original, intent and everything?
I mean, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered is a great example of a good remaster.
That was a huge graphical improvement for what it was.
Like, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't go from, like, PS1 to PS2 when we're at the PS5.
Yeah.
Go to the PS5. You're doing it. Just do it. Like,
I hear you.
And that's where I take pause with this. It's almost just like, hey, let's just do this minor thing and then roll it out to try to print dollar signs.
So that remaster is coming out February 5th, 2026. And the Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition remaster is coming out March 19th. I really don't have much more to say on Dynasty Warriors 3. Never played it, but it did look like
beautiful remaster with a lot of just hordes that you're just hacking down. So, feel like hordes Dynasty Warriors 3.
Yeah, that's March 19th coming out. Now, getting back into the chronological order of things, this one I'm actually like relatively excited for, and you're going to look at me and be like, I'm so confused why you were excited for this.
I'm excited for this one. I wish this was a Game Pass game, though.
So, Halloween the game is from the developers of Friday the 13th. And in this game, you have the opportunity to play either as a civilian or Michael Myers. So, much like Friday the 13th, where I believe it's the same general concept, but that game is, more like survival. And I believe it's multiplayer. Correct me if I'm wrong. I never checked into Friday the 13th. But the interesting thing about this game is that in addition to player versus player, there's also a campaign and story mode. And I just thought this was so cool. Like, if you're Michael Myers, you have some interesting abilities like shape jumping and being able to be like invisible. If you're a civilian, you're tasked with getting people to safety, and you have to basically win the game by calling the police. And I just think that adds such a cool element.
The shape jumping, by the way, was done so well. Because they could have very easily done like the Halo invisibility shield and just like made you transparent to walking around. But no, they did a thing where even as the player, it had a sense of eerie to it. It felt creepy to be in that shade form. And the execution of that, I thought, was just absolutely flawless. I don't think there's going to be an instance where I'm ever going to want to play the civilian. I'm just going to be the shadow guy just walking around, because that just looked so unbelievably cool.
So yeah, this is coming out September 8th, 2026. So not this year, but next year. It will come out in time for spooky season. And weirdly, I think this might be something that I would play. Like, I don't think I would buy it, but if I saw it on a sale...
So I'm saying, like, it would be a perfect Game Pass game, spooky season. I would play the snot out of this. It looks like it's one of those games where it would get old probably after a couple hours of playing. Like, I don't think it's something that I would feel good paying $20, $30 for.
Yeah, pretty much in the same boat. So moving on to the next game, we got to look at The Last Epoch, which I know it has been out, I believe, for PC, but it was announced that it is currently being developed for the PlayStation. And this is an isometric type game where you have to combat to try to topple gods, and, you're moving through history to, preserve the world. So it will be coming to PlayStation, and the other big announcement is the game will be getting its first major expansion, which will line up at the same time as the PlayStation 5 release. So if you're into this game and you've been waiting to play it on your PlayStation, get hype, I guess.
The Orobis expansion.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but if you're into the game, you probably do. So now we're going to take a quick break before we move on to the back half of the showcase. And there's quite a lot to cover in the back half, but I do want to make sure that we give our fantastic Patreon producer, Stephen Keller, his well-deserved shout out of the week. Stephen has been subscribed at the night level over on our Patreon for quite a while now. As a result, he gets this weekly shout out. He also gets occasional guest spots on the show, as well as fun stuff like our monthly secret segment access, and our monthly video vlog. If you would like to be as cool as Steven, head on over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast, where you'll find 3 different tiers of support that you can sign up for. Each one has a different array of goodies that you'll receive, and you'll all get to know that you've helped keep the lights on at Online Warrior Central. Once again, that's patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. And now we're going to get into the break.
Welcome aboard Too Vague Airlines. We're cruising here at 40,000 feet. That might be too many feet, but what do I know? I'm not really an airplane. I'm a podcaster. Actually, I'm a co-podcaster. I'm the co-host of several episodes of the Too Vague podcast. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out. Check out the Too Vague podcast. Any place podcasts do whatever they do.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. For your continued safety, Too Vague Airlines requires that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. But while you're seated, you can tune into the Too Vague podcast, TWOVAGUE, on your favorite podcast services and enjoy the flight.
All right, and welcome back. So this back half of the showcase, there were a lot of, sequel announcements to get into, as well as a few new game announcements. And the first one that we want to cover off on is the 7 Deadly Sins Origin. So Apparently, this is based off an animated series. I know nothing about it, but this looks colorful and fun. There's open world gameplay. There's, crafting, fishing, fun, colorful combat. You can, make friends and capture creatures.
You can even dungeon crawl.
You can dungeon crawl. And most importantly for me, you guys know I love a good co-op game. You can play this game in co-op with up to 4 other people.
Woo.
Or I guess up to a party of 4. My bad. Sorry. But yeah, so this is coming out January 28th. I'm sure fans of the show will be super excited to get into this game. I'm sure they also, I think, mentioned that it will be accessible even if you've never had any experience with the show. So we'll see. I don't know. Techtic, are you into this one?
No. One in the similar vein coming up I am into, and I will wax poetic on that one.
All right. So the next one, which we all know that I'm excited, and I believe it's officially released now, but there was an announcement that Sonic Racing Crossworlds will be getting new DLC after its launch, and it will introduce Mega Man and Proto Man. And really, the DLC is the big announcement here. But God, this game looks incredible, and I want it so bad.
Yeah, the DLC not only includes Mega Man and Proto Man, but it includes a lot of like levels and the bad guy and a lot of the villains that you can kind of see as you're playing through those Mega Man levels. So it's truly the Mega Man world is coming to this game, and man, oh man, does this keep getting better and better. I really hope it's not like nickeling and diming on a million things. Like, that's my only reservation.
Yeah, because from my experience, the previous Sonic games, there really wasn't much DLC. Like, it was all stuff that shipped with the game and you unlocked it over time. But, like, DLC was not a huge component of the Sonic Racing franchise.
That's why,
yeah.
Like,
especially because it is too shipping out, like, full price. It is, like, $70 for the game. I've eyed it up, but again, it's $70.
Mario Party or Mario Kart does the same thing.
Yeah, they do. They do, for sure.
So I'm not like...
We live in a DLC world.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be the reality, and one of those, it is what it is, but I'm not happy about it. But I am excited about it. Not happy, very excited.
But yeah, this one, if I don't pull the trigger on this one, it will be on my Christmas list, because Christmas is coming up. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Moving on to something that is very dark, Vampires in the Shogun era. Nioh 3 was announced, or at least the trailer was shown in this showcase.
I wish this trailer I really struggled with. And I've never played one of the other Nioh games, so that's on me. But it very much felt like I couldn't figure out if it was like a story game or if it was like a one-on-one fighting game. And
no, it is very much a story game. It's like a, adventure style game.
But like they kept showing all these different characters that I assume you're facing along the way, and it also in part seemed like they were also playable characters. So it was just, I feel like they could have done more with the trailer cinematics so that was more clear to me. But again, that's probably on me with my own ignorance.
So Nioh 3 is coming out February 6th. I too never really got into this game, franchise at least. It does look super dynamic and fun. I'm at this point though where like it has a 3 in the name and I have not played 1 and 2, so I would struggle to jump in at this point. I feel like I'm missing a lot of lore. I might be wrong there. Maybe it is accessible.
We can always
but
go to the school of YouTube.
We could go to the school of YouTube for sure. I had to do that with Kingdom Hearts even though I had played all the games.
Yeah.
So
it's not that hard. But the one that I do want to talk about that I was very excited about, and I hate that you like called out the opener, Code Vein 2. This is a sequel. I have not played the original, and this looked very good. It had like cool transformations as you're like upgrading your character, and the boss battles were just these massive, very detailed, intimidating bosses, and this looked fantastic to me. This game, when it opened, you just go, "Oh, is this boobs?" And like that was so derivative.
I did say that. I'm sorry.
And I hated it. It was like, no,
okay,
now it seems like that's why I'm into it. It's not why I'm into it.
To be clear, the opening like second of this trailer had like the most chesty of chest shots. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just like locked in on that for whatever reason. But yeah, that like I was like, oh, this character is booby and boobily.
And like it comes out not that far from now. It comes out January 30th, 2026. So I'm very excited about this game. I like to have a diverse portfolio of games in my Rolodex.
So can I surprise you and let you know that I believe Code Vein, the first game, is on Game Pass, so you could go ahead and give the first
Is it as boobily? I mean, that's not the reason I'm playing. Is it as boobily?
I have no idea. I will say though, like the abilities in this game, the combat abilities looked really sick. Like when the playable character had like dog arms or whatever
Yeah, that was
like that was super badass. There looked like there were a bunch of really cool battle weapons. There was a companion. I'm gonna call back to Kingdom Hearts again, but like that gave me like Kingdom Hearts Donald and Goofy vibes, which we know I love that. And even like the boss designs, I love the aesthetic. I love just the boss designs. It was great. So yeah, this one's on my list. I actually did want to play the first Code Vein game. I just never got around to it. So hey, here we go. Maybe we can buddy play games this winter. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, we buddy played Paper Mario.
There we go. Like maybe pass the controller on and off. Because like we both want to play these games, but we don't both want to sink 40 hours each into it. So we could maybe sink 40 hours
together. As long
together.
as we get pizza rolls, I can pretty much lock in.
Pizza rolls when you're not holding the controller.
Yeah, but then you're going to watch how many pizza rolls I'm eating. Just look away.
Okay.
Just look away.
So the next game, and we actually saw a bit about this before in a prior showcase, but we saw, a really small little teaser trailer about Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm probably going to butcher how to pronounce this, but the Ivalice Chronicles. We really didn't see anything super new from the last time we saw a trailer on this game, but they did announce that it's like fully voiced dialogue, and this will be coming out September 30th. So honestly, like by the time this episode hits your ears, you could be playing this game.
I played Final Fantasy Tactics, so it's very good. I do recommend it if you haven't played it, but I've played it already, so that's the only reason I'm not going to play it, because I've already done it. But it is very good, so do not let this one sit. Now, the next one is Let It Die Inferno, and this was described as a PvPvE with roguelike elements. And I wish it was just a PvE, because the concept of this is you're a raider, you're shooting off of this thing, and you're like exploring the depths to try to like get to the other side, I guess. And anytime you die, your spinal cord gets shot back up to that ship to then get in a new raider body or a new loadout to then try again. And I think this could have just been a standalone PvE, because I don't really like PvPs because I'm not that good and everyone online is so much better than me at this day and age. But this was a very interesting concept. Basically, it was like death isn't a thing anymore. I'm the Grim Reaper. I've got weird googly eyes, and we're just going to keep trying, putting you in a new body. And it looked cool. Different loadouts, different raiders, different combinations, different weapons, neat animation style. I was on board on this one.
So this game is coming out December 3rd, so get hype. Now, the next two games are ones that I was super, super jazzed about. Chronoscript, The Endless End. This one I thought was really unique and interesting. So first of all, we're going to start with the art style. Everything here is an ink drawn, like a pen drawn aesthetic, which I thought was super unique. So the premise of this game is that you are a prisoner stuck in a book, basically an unfinished draft of a book. So you have to try to figure out your way out of this book, break the spell, etc. So you are moving through pen drawn, environments and book pages, essentially. I thought it looked super cool, but also a little worried that it could be too busy at times. Like some of the backgrounds were very, very detailed, and I worry that in actual gameplay, my character would feel a little bit lost in the busyness. But overall, like you can travel through the spilled ink to get to other pages and books. And this one is a side scroller, so like not usually my bag, but because of how unique it is, I am putting this on my list to check out.
Did this give you Plucky Squire vibes?
It did. I literally have it in my notes that it did feel a little reminiscent of the Plucky Squire, but I guess that's not really a bad thing. I think the art style helps it stand apart a little bit, but yeah, in terms of like jumping through pages and stuff like that, it did feel a little reminiscent of the Plucky Squire for sure.
It felt like the Plucky Squire, but with like less abilities. And so, in my opinion on this one, I would just play the Plucky Squire.
That's totally fair. And this will come out in 2026. We do own the Plucky Squire. We have not played that either. It's been summer. We've been bogged down.
We're going to play that. That's how we're going to respond to this game. We're going to play that game.
But yeah, I mean, we can play both of them and compare. We'll see.
As the kids say, bet.
And the next one I was really freaking excited for. Crimson Desert looks like everything I love in a game. So it's like a medieval fantasy setting with different species. The main playable character in this trailer was a human, but there were different species on the battlefield. There were, like I said, big battlefields, different combat styles that you can take on. It showed the main character having basically different builds depending on, the player's style. At one point you could have a sword. At one point you had it almost looked like a machine gun sort of situation happening, like a mystical machine gun. There were dragons. You can ride a wolf. Like, this shit is so up my alley.
They even showed some spellcasting abilities when he was diving down from the dragon. So they definitely did showcase the array of abilities that are given to you.
Like, this is everything that I love in games. And
it had the full, I don't want to call it Dungeons and Dragons cast and crew, but it had the full, it looked like trolls, that we saw some elven creatures. There was just the full breadth of medieval fantasy, and it looked very nice.
Yeah, it kind of gave me it hesitates to say Dragon Age vibes, but it kind of gave me Dragon Age vibes a little bit. And I was obsessed with Dragon Age last year. I feel like every year I pick one game that's super lengthy and I go hard in the paint. And Dragon Age last year was the game that did that for me. And this is coming out March 19th. So maybe this will be the game that does it again with dragons and fantasy, because I love that shit. I eat it up. I'm excited about this. Plus, new IPs. You gotta love a new IP.
That's what I was just gonna say. Anytime there's a new IP, I absolutely get excited. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sequels. Keep it fresh, because you never know what's gonna take off. And that's what anytime, a good example, K-pop Demon Hunters. No one knew that was gonna be as big a deal as it was. And then it was. And so always invest in new IP. That's my diatribe. Sorry about that little tangent, but it needed to be said.
Speaking of new IPs, I guess, this is a horrible transition, but PlayStation is making speakers now. They're making the Pulse Elevate speakers, which are wireless speakers that you can dock. It will have the 3D audio from, your PlayStation. So you'll have that 3D immersive effect. You can connect it to your PC, connect it to your PlayStation, connect it to your PlayStation Portal, which I think we were both a little bit confused about, because if you're playing in handheld mode, why are you trying to blast music?
you're not trying to have an entertainment center at that point. You're trying to be in your little corner and not be obtrusive.
I'm not really sure why this is necessary. I feel like most people who are console owners or even PC gamers, you already have a speaker set up, so I don't really know why you would need these. However, I guess if you don't have a good audio system on your TV, this could be a way to get that 3D immersive effect.
I see why they did it. Being in the game space, they had developed headphones with really good speaker technology. And so going to regular, computer speakers isn't that much of a hop, skip, and a jump. But also in the same point, they're computer speakers. Let's not derail from that. And if you have a computer setup, you're not bothering with a PlayStation setup. You're going to have a nice computer setup. So it is a bit weird, but I do see how it's sort of in that same, we have the existing technology, why not realm. And honestly, there are, in the same vein that there are PlayStation, or in the same vein that there are Nintendo fanboys, there are PlayStation fanboys that are just going to buy anything that they make.
I will say the neat thing was that, they were dockable so that you could, I guess, pick them up and move them around. Again, I'm not really sure why you would want to do that necessarily, but I guess if you wanted to move them from your PC and then you wanted to maybe go out into your living room, you could take them with you and then they held a charge. So I guess that could be cool, but I do wonder how long the battery life is when they're wireless and not docked, because I just know most of my wireless speakers, I feel like you maybe get I don't know, 6-7 hours, especially when you have thumping bass. So yeah, I'm curious to see what the battery life will be in real life on that.
I don't think there's any amount of specs that they could release on this that would make me go, I need PlayStation speakers.
Yeah. I think in my notes, I was just ... Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Another piece of hardware before we move on to the final two game announcements, since we're on the hardware kick, is they did reveal a God of War anniversary controller. Honestly, I love the God of War franchise.
This was so bland.
Yes,
they put one red stripe on it, and it was the amount of effort that they put into breaking the controller out of a rock in the animation scene was probably way more hours than putting a stripe of red paint on a white controller.
And like maybe there are other details outside of the little snippet we saw in the showcase. Like maybe there's other things that they've done to like zhuzh it up. But at first glance and what we saw in this showcase, they really
triggers were a different color, but like
it literally, it was like very minimal. And for someone who's a huge fan of the God of War franchise, I just expected a little bit more from the anniversary controller.
Yeah. And like basically my stance is if it's not a mod kit I could do myself. Like you can buy different paddles and switch them out, no problem. But like if that's all I need to do and then put a little paint, I can have the God of War controller custom. It's just more effort. I just want to see more effort.
Well, I feel like especially to the previous God of War controllers, because I think there was a special edition one for Ragnarok too, like that just had so much attention to detail put into it that like in comparison it's just kind of like, well,
dud spud.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I want to shout out is I'm going to jump to the Gran Turismo announcement. So it was the Spec 3 update, which had new tracks, new cars, and the main thing that I want to talk about is they introduced a data logging mode, which I think is absolutely fascinating. So we watched
F1.
Yeah.
After watching F1, I was like, my ears perked up at this.
Yeah. When we watched F1, the amount of like data that goes into what tires and what softness and what the weather conditions are relative to those tires and the speed in which your turn are coming. Like I could geek out on the post-race analytics for hours. This is a fantastic feature to be adding, and I'm so glad as even a non-car buff that they did this, because this is really, really cool. This is putting the hairs on the back of my arm of the engineer in me just I am razzle dazzled.
His dazzles are razzles. That didn't make sense, but we're rolling with it. And then the final announcement, and this was like kind of the shining crown jewel of the show.
Resistance.
The piece de resistance was the Wolverine trailer reveal and a little bit of the behind the scenes chat with the developers. So we saw a really gory and, in the developer's own words, violent and visceral trailer for Wolverine. You see him in different aesthetics. Like you see his like cowboyish looking getup where he's got the cowboy hat and the flannel in a bar. But then you also see him in the Wolverine suit, and he's slicing and dicing. He's brawling it out. He's sticking his claws through guys' faces. He's also on a motorcycle, and there's other X-Men that, make an appearance here. There's Omega Red, Mystique, like directly off the bat, but there's also some subtle hints at other characters that do show up. They also introduced Liam McIntyre as the actor who will be portraying Wolverine, so he did the mocap and the voices. And they also gave us some insight into where the story will be taking place. So you'll see Logan in the Canadian wilderness, in Japan, and in several other locations. It looks like it's going to be a lot of Insomniac action. And Techtic, what were your thoughts?
So a couple things. First off, if you don't know who Omega Red is, he's basically like a Soviet super soldier. He's a really good enemy against Wolverine because in order to survive, he kind of like feeds on his life force. And so it's the counter. It's almost like the yin to his yang of his regeneration abilities. He's also got a super hard coating. I believe it's like called carbonadium armor, if I'm remembering it correctly. And it gives him that endurance. So it just, again, a perfect kind of anti-Wolverine battle. And I think that's going to make for just a great boss fight and just overall just cool combat. The thing that I wanted to comment and that we also saw in this was we saw the Sentinels, and there was another instance in everything of the X-Men media that we've been exposed to where we saw Sentinels, we saw him going from Japan to Canada. I have a weird feeling this is going to be basically the story of X-Men Days of Future Past. This was the movie that was released in 2014, and I don't have a problem with that. I thought this was like one of the last really good X-Men movies before they jumped the shark. I think this goes through a huge timeline of Wolverine because there's literal time jumping through Professor X, and it has alternate timelines and the dark future where the Sentinels take over and get rid of mutant kind. And it has a lot of that like character growth and get to see basically the X-Men over time. This fits perfectly within the Wolverine game storyline, and it'll give the players a huge glimpse and literal playground to be exposed to. So that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what my theory says that this game's going to be taking place.
Now, in terms of the actual combat, so Insomniac is obviously the folks behind the Spider-Man games, the 2 recent ones, or I guess 3 recent ones really, that have come out for PlayStation. And so I have no doubt that the combat is going to be fun. What I do wonder how they're going to handle, and they really haven't addressed this yet, Wolverine, and they call this out too, Wolverine is basically immortal. Like, basically. He heals himself. He doesn't really die. They've called it out even in the trailer. How are they going to handle that and make there feel like there are actual stakes to the combat, especially when you're basically just battling other humans? How are they going to give those combat situations some gravity without you just feeling like you're overpowered and you're just slicing dudes up and just relying on the gore factor to provide the fun? How are they going to have those stakes? I don't know that yet.
I do.
Okay.
So that's why I think Omega Red being introduced is such an important thing. So the carbonadium, I'm going to pronounce it differently each time. The carbonadium tentacles that he has in his armor is what absorbs the life force. So I think that they're going to have like the grunts and the regular bad guys all kind of funnel in through him, and they're going to have the bullets or something made from the same material, such that it's draining his life force. So he's not so much getting hurt, but losing life force.
Okay.
And I think that would then work, right, with his regeneration ability. It's the, your random guy on the street that hits him, he's going to just heal whatever. But this group that is what I think is going to be the main bag with these specialized weapons, yeah, they're going to hurt him and they're going to do damage and you're going to die, and it's going to be challenging and it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I am really excited about this game. I don't doubt that it's going to be very good. I don't want to glaze Insomniac too hard, but
oh, they knew what they were doing.
They do.
They said, okay, Spider-Man, he doesn't kill, he doesn't hurt, he doesn't even maim, no blood. Wolverine's got metal razor blades. And they didn't shy away. They said this has to be so gritty that you can see the blood between his teeth post-fight. Like, this level of detail was executed perfectly.
Yeah, it really does feel like Insomniac, especially with these superhero properties, they take their time, they understand the character, they understand the world around the character, and they care. Like, it's not like the days of yore where we used to get all of the superhero games that were just kind of like, they were movie tie-in games for the most part, and they just kind of felt like slapdash together to take advantage of the IP. Like, it really does feel like they want to do right by this character. And so this game is coming to us fall 2026. They did mention that we will get more information on the game come the spring, but until then, we just have to eagerly await with bated breath after watching this trailer, and this is definitely going to be a day one buy for me when this comes out. I don't think that was ever really a question in my mind. Like, honestly, at this point, kind of, again, not to like give Insomniac a total carte blanche, but anything that they put out, especially in like the superhero genre, I'm pretty sold on at this point. So I will usually day one buy it. And then at some point, it will probably burn me. But that day has not come yet with Insomniac. So I will continue to pre-order.
Same.
Now, that kind of wraps up the PlayStation State of Play for September. And we're going to get into our What Are You Up To Wednesday. And Techtic, do you mind if I start?
Go for it.
So we actually watched this, and this is a little bit of a misnomer on the What Are You Up To Wednesday, but we actually watched this 2 weeks ago, but then we were sick, so we didn't really get a chance to talk about this. But we watched finally the live action Lilo and Stitch movie. And I know it kind of got like critically panned, and it is now on Disney Plus, so you can watch it for free. You don't have, well, if you have Disney Plus, it's free, I guess, but you don't have to go to the movies to see it at this point. And honestly, it was a lot better than I expected. Like, if you're not familiar with the story of Lilo and Stitch, the animated version of Lilo and Stitch, obviously, like, Lilo and her sister is now Lilo's caregiver because their parents have passed on, and then Stitch is an alien who finds his way to Earth, and he kind of uses Earth as a hideout, and then, pretends to be a dog so that Lilo will adopt him. It's a story as old as time, and they become family, et cetera, et cetera. But really, if you go back and you watch that animated movie, like, Lilo and Stitch are putting her older sister through absolute hell. And they actually really focus on that in the live action version. And I almost think that the live action version is more focused on Lilo's older sister and the stuff
in a realistic way.
In a very realistic way. And the stuff that she has to go through and the learning pains of them becoming a family unit. And I don't know. I feel like it really did add something. I know they made some adjustments and they changed things from the original animated movie. But also, isn't that what people were complaining about with these live action adaptations? That there was no difference enough for it to exist? And I feel like this gave it a reason to exist. And I thought it was good.
I think people are going to complain no matter what.
That is absolutely fair.
Like if they're different, then they're like, oh, they should have just stuck with the source material. And I'm guilty of saying that. And then if they're too much the same, they go, what's the point of doing this? This is a money grab. People are going to complain no matter what. But I agree with you where they differed enough in this where it was executed perfectly. I mean, they got rid of like that big massive alien guy because it didn't really work. And I stand by that decision. The way that they cast everything and the characters that they carefully picked, who's staying and who's going and what their roles are,
and even
was done just right.
What they gave time to, too, like what parts of the story, I feel like they fleshed out some parts of the story a little bit more. And
absolutely.
I thought that was great.
I stand by you, and I think live action Lilo and Stitch is way better than regular Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, so we watched that. That was actually really good, and I would recommend it. But then I also do tend to have a soft spot for these live-action Disney movies, and a lot of people don't have the same opinion that I do, and I own that, but I thought it was entertaining. And then the other thing I want to bring up is English Teacher is back. We've only actually watched the first episode of the new season, and I think there's 4 out right now, and then there's going to be, a weekly drop of episodes throughout the next couple months. But it is still one of the funniest shows on television. And if you haven't watched the first season, definitely go watch it and then get into the second season because it's the social commentary in this show is just so good. And I feel like they do a really good job of towing the line and making it kind of like approachable to everybody too. And I can't gush enough about how good it is. So.
Agreed.
So with that, I'll toss it over to Techtic. Techtic, what are you up to?
All right, so the main thing I want to talk about is something that I've been insufferably talking about, and that is last weekend, maybe 2 weekends ago, a friend of mine had a flag football game that they said, hey, why don't you come watch? And I did, and I asked about the league because it looked really interesting to me, but there wasn't a league playing that again until next spring, so I said, well, what does it take to get flag football going? Well, some flags and a football. And so I went ahead and took initiative. I bought a set of 12 flags and just set out like a text into the world and said, does anyone want to play flag football with me? And by God, was the response just so well received. I have a literal now weekly flag football meeting with just friends from the neighborhood, basically. Like it's like I'm a kid again. Like when we used to, it didn't have to be a bar league. It didn't have to be any of this organized. It's just, hey, we're just going to get together and we're going to play football in the street or in the field or whatever. And it's awesome. So now every week we all get together, same time, play some football. And maybe we go to the bar after, maybe not. We would just go our separate ways. But it's something that I'm very excited about because I hate working out. I like structure. I like sports if I'm going to get exercise. And this was like such a good idea. So if you're looking to like join a league and it seems like too much of a bar to entry, just buy flags and send your intentions out into the world and they might come back well received.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
All right. And with that concludes our episode of the Online Warriors podcast for the week. I do want to give a quick shout out. So if you were a Facebook user and you signed up for the class action lawsuit, the payouts are coming in. And you know what? It is just about enough money to buy yourself a copy of Hades 2.
Woo!
So we know what I will be doing with that money. And I'm very excited about it. So keep your eye on your mail, your PayPal, however you might have put in a claim, because that's dropping this week.
Also, we're trying to decide if Hades 2 should be purchased for the Steam Deck or the Switch. I'm voting Switch.
I'm voting Steam because also Steam is very versatile in that you could play it on PC or you can play it on Steam Deck.
But the Switch is better.
Debatable.
So let us know what's the right answer because I want to win this fight.
Yeah, let us know. You can hit us up on Blue Skies where we're most active these days. I am at ownerdbomber.bsky.social. He is at Techtic.bsky.social, and we collectively are
At onlinewarriors.bsky.social.
So yeah, let us know where we should buy Hades 2. This is going down within like the next couple days, so be hasty.
It's going down.
I might still just buy it on Steam because Steam. But hey, I'm open to your suggestions. And with that, we wish you a fantastic week. Also, let us know what games from the showcase you're super interested in. Let us know what is currently on your wish list after watching the showcase. I know there's also a bunch of stuff happening with the Tokyo Game Show. If there are any crazy big announcements, we will get into that next week, I promise. But this was just jam-packed, and we wanted to give all of these games their moment to shine. So with that, we want to wrap it up for the week. Thank you for listening, and stay safe, and keep on podcasting.